Hey, it's Norm from Tested.com, and today we're going to talk about really exciting camera stuff, photography. I'm here with Jeremy Paulus of Trusted Photo PA. You're a photographer, but you do photography that's kind of different than your wedding photographer. You do Google Street View photography. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. What I do is technically called Google Business Photos. That's the program that Google created. It basically equates to Google Street View, but inside of businesses.
So not driving the car and having that panoramic camera get you street, panoramics, but actually inside businesses, public places, and even spaces like this.
Yes. There's lots of Google projects that do this kind of thing. There are what they call the special collects that do things like museums. But then there's people like me that I can go into a business and I can offer them this service where Google Street View will essentially reach into their business, that you'll be able to come off of the street where the car data is and just take a right turn and come right into their business. I found that car dealerships, retail locations, anybody who has a kind of business where they want to show off what it is that they have, especially if there's any sort of a possible barrier to entry, or if they feel like there's something that the general public doesn't know about their location, that it's special and people don't really get it until they see it.
So let's talk about the process.
Sure.
Because you don't have a giant rig. Turns out it's just like a tripod and a camera and maybe a special lens. What is that process and what's the equipment you're using?
They wanted this to be a very portable and fairly inexpensive way to collect this data. The thing that goes on the car and the thing that goes on the backpack are very, very expensive. Multi-cameras, it's doing all the shots at once and putting them together so you can capture a moment with those. This isn't good for capturing a moment because I have to shoot multiple pictures and stitch them together.
So it's all manual.
Right. But for something like an inside of a business where things aren't moving really, it works just fine. And like I said, it's more portable and cheaper. So what we're doing is a very common method for collecting panoramic images that's been done for years. We're using an 8mm lens that has a 180-degree field of view.
That's real wide.
Really, really wide. So, I mean, if I were to look in here right now, I would be able to see straight up above, and I'd be able to see the edge of the legs of the tripod at the bottom.
Okay.
And this has a slight tilt backwards, which means that you get a little bit of overlap on the top, but you get a hole in the bottom. In the grand scheme of things, what you're shooting for here is a 360-degree by 180-degree panorama. So, you can look all the way up and look all the way down. And Google on Street View, it tends to just do a little blur at the bottom.
Right.
And so that's how you cover that.
So this looks like a regular tripod, and the mount here is mounted so the center is right around where the focal point is.
Exactly, right down through here, so that as I do 90-degree rotations, that stays right in the same spot. And when you get the overlap between this shot and this shot, there's no perspective shift at all between things that are near and far. Nothing will change, and it makes the stitching process work a lot better.
How many photos do you have to take for one panoramic?
Well, it's actually 12.
Okay.
Because we do an exposure bracket, and on each 90-degree increment, so we get 3, 3, 3, 3, and then the software blends them together so that you get the sort of semi-HDR kind of effect where you have detail in the shadows and in the highlights. Because in a lot of places you have a lot of both. You have sun coming in the window and stuff like that, and you don't want to have it just wash out everything.
So using an 8mm lens here with a Canon 7D, it looks like. That's an APS-C size sensor. Why not something like a 5D3 or a 6D or full-frame sensor? You get more megapixels, and also you don't have the crop factor making this like a 12mm lens.
I actually have a 6D, and I did try using it a little bit, and you can. There's a list of approved camera bodies. For anybody who would, might be interested in getting into this, there is a list of approved camera bodies. And the 6D is on there, 5D Mark III is on there, full frame Nikons are on there. Right. One of the keys is that when you use a full frame sensor, you actually get an entire circle of vignette on the actual image because of filling the whole sensor out of the camera.
For this specific lens.
Right. On the crop frame, I get just a little bit of vignette on the top and bottom. So if I were to stitch Pano shot in here, and stitch Panos shot in the same place with my 6D, I would actually end up with a higher megapixel 360 by 180 stitch out of here because it's filling more of the frame. Right. I'm throwing more away when I'm using the 6. The 6 is nice in the sense that I could use higher ISO. and get away with it than I can on here. But using longer exposure times isn't a really big deal. It's not a concern. So I just stick with this because also this is a lot faster. When I ratchet off the brackets, sometimes if you're outside, you have clouds and things like that, things that are moving.
Yeah.
The faster you can get the shots off, the better off you are because you're going to have less motion that's going to end up being a blur.
And then when you walk through a place of business, how do you choose how many points that you take panoramic photos of?
It's pretty much up to me. There's a set distance that you want to have between them, or a maximum and a minimum, I should say. So I pretty much just look at a business and I go through it with the business owner and say I would plan on going here, 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 and here, and see if they have any place else they want me to go or any place they don't want me to go.
How long does it take then after a business has you come in and take photos for it to be uploaded in Street View and improved?
It's pretty much up to me. It's how long it takes me to process it. There's a lot of uploading. I have a 5 meg upstream at home, so as fast as I can cram the images through that is part of the process. Then there's a lot of computer time. For every hour that I spend at a business, I might spend as many as 2 or 3 hours at home sitting in front of the computer putting everything together.
But it's not going to be like a whole month or something?
Generally, no.
Okay.
I usually tell a business that it will be up within 2 weeks, but oftentimes it's faster than that.
Well, what you're saying, Jeremy, is that if people go on to maps.google.com right now in Street View, they can see possibly the inside of this office.
That would
see
certainly be a possibility.
Our place of operations.
Yeah.
That is very cool. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for stopping by and taking photos of our office and doing other Street View services for other companies. People can find out, can request that you come and take photos of their business also.
Absolutely.
And you have a website?
Yeah, it's trustedphotopa.com.
Awesome.
PA being for Pennsylvania.
Right. And if people are interested in being their own Street View photographer, they can go search on Google and find the right equipment and get approved to do that.
Yep, just search for the Google Business Photos program. And at the bottom, I believe there's a link that says, do you want to be a photographer for us? And you can click on that and submit your information and maybe join us.
That is just so cool. You've seen our videos before. Now you'll be able to see the inside of our kind of cool office. I'm Norm from Tested. Check us out on tested.com. Subscribe to our videos. We'll see you next time.